Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, Jerron Harrington, back to hit you with another video. And today, we are here to continue What If Captain America Was in Jojo's Bizarre Adventures, Dios Revenge, Part 4. As always, if you're a fan of the channel and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's come out now and in the future. Where we last left off with our series, we find our band of heroes coming face to face against Enya and her stand Justice. As the group continues on in their journey, what new allies will they make along the way? One of whom that I believe you all will enjoy as a new fan favorite in this universe. And as our new band of heroes come together for the final stretch of their journey, how will their fates fare as they ever grow closer to their fated battle against Dio? For all this and more, stay tuned as we now continue. What if Captain America was in Jojo's Bizarre Adventures, Dio's Revenge, Part 4. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. While staying at the end, Enya would attempt to use her stand, Justice, to destroy the Joestar group once and for all. Also holding her late son's partner, Whole Horse, responsible for his death, Enya would take control of him as well with her stand, becoming revealed to him that the entire city was already dead, and that the civilians they had seen were being used like zombie corpses. Wanting to avoid his own death, Whole Horse would attempt to alert Polnareff to the true treachery of Enya. Polnareff, looking for retreat, would attempt to hide in the bathroom. However, Enya would use the small vacancy of the keyhole, allowing for her stand, Justice, to take its gas-like form and enter. Once doing so, it would forcibly control Polnareff. First looking to humiliate him, Enya would attempt to make Polnareff clean the toilet with his own tongue. However, before she could have a chance to do so, she would be confronted by both Jotaro and Steve. The two of them being wiser than the others in their group, it wouldn't take long for them to realize that Enya was actually an enemy stand user, mainly because she referred to the both of them by their names, although the two had been smart as they had put down fake names for all of the others before their lodging. Realizing that she had been found out, Enya would attempt to attack the two. However, Jotaro using Star Platinum, along with Steve Rogers using Blue Liberty, the two stand users would battle against Justice. Steve, being able to use his stand's shield, would be able to protect them from the smoke, protecting Jotaro so that he would not be caught in the process, allowing for Star Platinum to take a deep breath and inhale Justice entirely. In the process, this would suffocate Enya, causing her to pass out. Once leaving the hotel, the group would travel, taking Enya along with them, hoping that they could gain some intel about Dio. While traveling along though, Whole Horse would wholeheartedly ask for her to be destroyed, not wanting to take any chances with a subordinate of Dio. However, before the group would have a chance to gain any information from her at all, another one of Dio's assassins, named Steely Dan, would go to intercept them. Using his stand, the lovers, he would implement a flesh blood inside of Enya's body, keeping her from revealing any information about Dio, and subsequently killing her in the process. Looking to try to catch them off guard, the assassin would look to separate the two. First, he would implement using another one of the flesh buds given to him, placing it deep inside of Joseph's body, giving him only a limited amount of time to live, while the others would have to work on a way of trying to remove the bud without killing Joseph. Jojo, in the meanwhile, would be forced to restrain himself and would have to cater to the whims of Steely Dan. Steve, along with Pomerev as well as Kokoyon, would have to work together, shrinking down their stands to go inside of the body of Joseph and looking to remove the flesh blood before it could do any damage. Thankfully, Joseph's stand, Hermit Purple, would be able to make a picture of where the foreign object was inside of his brain, allowing for the others to locate and find it in time. Once they were able to remove the deadly object, Jojo would be free to fight to his heart's content, and in doing so would be able to make short work of Steely Dan, Stan, the lovers, defeating him rather thoroughly, destroying his leg and leaving him prone and lifeless, unable to fight or cause them any more harm. The journey for the Joestar team did not get any easier, although thankfully, with various forms of transportation, all was not lost. In this universe, with Hydra never taking over S.H.I.E.L.D., Steve, along with the assistance of his wife Peggy Carter, would be able to find various forms of transportation that they could use rather effectively. In the meantime, Holly's condition back in Japan was still not getting any better. Her mother, Susie Q, would arrive to care for her daughter. In the meanwhile, Caesar Zappelli, along with Bucky Barnes, had been placed with protecting the two while the others were absent in their search for Dio. Of course, both Bucky and Caesar wanted to accompany them. However, both Steve and Joseph both realized that in the worst case scenario, they could potentially be the last line of defense against Dio, if worse came to worse. Also, if everyone were to go along, then there would be no one to watch after Holly and her condition. Caesar, hoping that while they were gone, he could study more about stands and stand users, and potentially find a way to cure her. And as for Bucky, wanting to owe a favor to an old-time friend in Joseph, and help out his friend in Steve, he had no problem staying along as well, serving as security for the Joestar family during these times. As such, the two would be back in Japan, watching over Holly and Susie Q, as well as making sure no enemy assassins would try to attempt to do any harm to them, while the others continued on their way to Egypt. As the group continued their journey, they would face many enemy stand users along the way. From a stand user whose stand took the form of a sun itself, to a stand that could infiltrate dreams, to even a baby of all things. There would be many and no shortage of strange and bizarre foes for the group to face. However, none more so than when the Joestar group would arrive to an island by the Red Sea that was said to be inhabited by Avdol's father. Pomerev would still feel guilty about what had happened to their comrade, knowing that had he acted better, then maybe he would still be alive. While there, he would come across a genie by the name of Cameo, who would appear to Pomerev to grant him 3 wishes. Pomerev would be skeptical until he would wish for money, and a cause for a treasure chest full of gold coins would appear nearby. Now wondering if his wishes could indeed come true, he wondered if he could bring people back from the dead. Pomaref would wish to see his sister once again, along to wish for Avdol to be brought back as well. His sister would appear before him, and everything would seem fine, until it was revealed that she was a ravenous beast, a shell of her former self, as she would go and attack at Pomaref, almost like a zombie seeking to consume his flesh. Alongside her, it would then be revealed that Cameo would explain that he was actually the Stand Judgment, and he had created zombie-like creatures from the earth based on the Wisher's desires. Terrified of this prospect, Pomaref would try to use his final wish to try to take them away. However, Pomaref would have sadly realized that he had already used his third wish to revive Avdol. To make matters worse, the figure of Avdol would appear, chasing him alongside the figment of his dead sister, the two looking to rip him apart and destroy him piece by piece. Pomaref would attempt to use Silver's chariot to defeat Cameo and stop him from his interference. However, it would soon be revealed that the real Avdol would have indeed survived his encounter with Whole Horse, showing up at the last moment to save him from the evil versions of his sister, as well as the evil Avdol. Cameo would initially attempt to believe that both Pomaref and Avdol's stands would be too strong for him, looking to make an escape. However, Avdol, before he could use Magician's Red to take out the would-be stand user, a new stand would appear before them, a being dressed in all white, whose head seemed to be floating, like that of a bird's skull in and of itself. The being would hold in his hand a sword, and he would strike down Cameo, killing him. Pomaref would look towards Avdol, wondering what had happened, when from out of nowhere, a man would come walking from out of the jungle before them. The man was dressed in an all-white suit with a white mask. He talked with a rather slang or jargon, almost as if he were some streetwise punk, as he made his way towards Avdol, stating that he was really getting tired of cleaning up his messes, although Avdol would simply laugh and apologize to his old friend Jake for causing him such inconvenience. However, the man in white would simply shake his head, explaining that it was no big deal. After all, it was the least he could do. Once he did so, his stand would vanish. However, Pomaref would be a bit confused by this. The others would eventually arrive and reunite, revealing that everyone had known that Avdol had been alive this whole time. But, with help from S.H.I.E.L.D., they had made sure to cover it up and appear as though Avdol were really dead, as so that Dio would not be aware in finding out their schemes and what they were planning. As Pomaref tried to figure out just what they were planning exactly, that was when Avdol would reveal to them his new friend. He would be known as Jake Lockley, or so they thought, when Avdol felt a hand on his shoulder. The man had transformed once again. He was regular, with dark black hair, although now he was wearing a white jacket. He revealed that his name was actually Stephen Grant, and that he was also a stand user that had come to help them. Pomaref would be confused, as he could have sworn that the man that they had saw before them was named Jack Lockley. That was when Avdol would call them over, as there was much that would need to be explained to them all, as to who their new friend was going to be. You see, when the arrival of stand users came into the world, S.H.I.E.L.D. had been trying to monitor to them, with help from Joseph Joestar, as they were unaware of who these beings were and what they could do. Joseph's good friend Avdol had known a man who had developed a stand of his own. However, his stand was unique to say the least, as the man suffered from what you could consider to be multiple personality disorder. The man before them actually had 3 personalities, not just one. There was the main personality that they hadn't met yet, named Mark Spector. He was a hero in the world, aka the Moon Knight. Of course, S.H.I.E.L.D. had heard reports of this Moon Knight, but they could never confirm or deny them. He also had the personality of Jake Lockley, aka Mr. Knight. You could say he was the close second to Mark in that regard, a street-savvy fighter who had the best tracking skills of the 3 personalities. That was also the reason as to why he was brought along, as if they were going to track down Dio, then his skills would be needed more than anyone else's. And then finally, the being standing before them, Stephen Grant. He was known as the Pacifist. Stephen was a successful businessman who used his funds to help Mark and Jack in their efforts. However, because of his pacifism, he wasn't the most skilled of the 3 when it came to fighting. However, all 3 of them shared one thing: their stand, Khonshu, the moon stand. And the stand's abilities reflected each personality. For Mark, Khonshu fought with the moon staff. For Jack, Khonshu fought with the moon sword. And for Stephen, Khonshu fought with the moon shield. Each one having their own unique properties to them, along with many other abilities that he possessed. While it would take some getting used to, mainly for the fact that they would never be entirely sure of who they were talking to 100% of the time, the more allies they had, the better. Now 7 strong, these group, now joined together as one, would be given a code name by Steve Rogers. Seeing as how this was a journey for avenging the wrongs done by Dio, Steve and Joseph had decided to call their team the Avengers, a group of which that would right the wrongs committed in the world. And right now, the one of whom they were going to seek avenging upon would be none other than Dio Brando himself. The group would then make the final leg of their journey, traveling via submarine. While together, the group would have to overcome one of their next major obstacles, that being in the enemy stand user known as the High Priestess. Her vanity being no short of high, the group would find it difficult to overcome her, as her stand could overtake the oceans themselves. However, the combined strength of Jotaro's Star Platinum, along with Steve Rogers' Blue Liberty, and with the added effort of the Moon Knight, along with his power with Khonshu, the 3 would be able to overcome her. Narrowly escaping a death by sea, they would eventually wash and make their way on the shores of Egypt, little over 30 days into their travels. As the Joestar group would have finally arrived in their destination, seeming as if this was the last stretch of their journey, Joseph would tell them that from here, the situation would only grow more and more dire, as they only had less than 20 days left to get a hold of Dio and destroy him once and for all, to stop his tyranny from reigning onto the world, as well as saving the life of his daughter and Jotaro's mother. However, as the Avengers now formed together, a band of stand users fighting against impossible odds, Dio would be all too aware of this group, knowing that they had finally arrived to his city. However, Dio was still confident and assured in his victory. As the group continued their pursuit of Dio, Dio had made moves of his own, as he summoned 9 stand users, 9 acolytes who had one goal in mind: to destroy the Avengers once and for all. This concludes What If Captain America Was in Jojo's Bizarre Adventures? Dios Revenge, Part 4. As always, if you're a fan of today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcasting that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue One Piece, Rangers of the Sea, based on the heroes of the Morphin Grid series, Part 2. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.